I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Uh-huh. Yes.
How are
See,
you?
I, I'm good. I'm ready to come home.
We're recording this on Zoom on Saturday instead of Sunday because you'll be en route to Los Angeles from Venice tomorrow
Yes, and you will be en route from Los Angeles to Toronto.
to an airport that's not very close to downtown. Although that's not uncommon, so I don't know.
No, Pearson is pretty far in good old Mississauga.
I mean, it's like what, 25 miles?
Yeah, but like the last thing you want to do after you get off a flight is travel another 25 miles.
But what airport is close to where you want to be? Like,
That's, I mean, Marco Polo in Venice, it's hard to get around Venice anyway, so it's equally
because you think
upset.
Chicago, Minneapolis, Berlin, New York. I mean, they're just like
Yeah, but
Denver. I can't think of an airport. San Francisco, Berkeley, like they're all no, Oakland. I mean, not Berkeley.
but at least with Minneapolis, the traffic's not bad, even though pe residents say it is. It's not, and you can get in and out of it very easily.
Well, that's for people who don't want to take public transit because I mean, the train very easily goes from the Minneapolis airport to downtown Minneapolis, and
That's true.
So does DC, and so does Chicago. And but anyway, we'll talk about at some point. You'll make a video about Venice.
Hmm.
You saw all the things people kept messaging about. So,
Oh, good.
um, but to switch gears, our video for The Deliverance, the new Lee Daniels movie, got a lot of engagement and a lot of new subscribers. So, welcome to all of those people. I did want to say though, there were a lot of comments. Most I deleted, but a lot of them just basically like we're basically being blasphemous by not taking the subject matter seriously. Which to that I would say Lee Daniels didn't take the shit seriously, so I don't know why I have to. And also there were lots of comments that I removed about like we're disrespecting like the victims of this incident. Um, this is not The Deliverance by Lee Daniels is not a documentary. Okay, this is not a documentary.
Yeah.
Also, on our Patreon by myself, I reviewed the alleged documentary Demon House, which is about the house Latoya Amons lived in with her family. Latoya Amons and her family and their supposed haunting are the basis for the Lee Daniels movie. And the choices Lee Daniels made in this film are very interesting. And I would say if people want to have a problem, they should have a problem with Lee Daniels, not people talking about his movie because he chose to focus on a lot of strange things that aren't even true to reality. And then I guess if you believe in, I was thinking about this a lot yesterday because there were comments about what are our religious beliefs, which I mean, I feel like I don't feel the need to explain myself, but also it should be pretty clear that we're either like atheist or agnostic. But, I
Right.
certainly respect people's beliefs to a degree, but I was thinking about it yesterday that it, religion's tricky because when you buy into something, let's just say like Christianity and all the things that you think come with it, even though I don't know how many of y'all have actually read the Bible and fully understand it. Um, it's hard
Correct.
to deconstruct a lot of your beliefs. So thinking like if you believe in God, then you must believe in the devil. So then it's like even my mom yesterday, I last week I went to see her and made her watch The Deliverance. And she
Uh-huh.
really liked it. And she's like, it's so scary. And, that. But then my mom believes in stuff like that. And I think part of it is like, you kind of have to, right? Because if they're angels, they're demons, right? Like you can't, you. So I do feel like, I mean, I don't know. I just,
But again, that's the again, as you said, the tricky thing with religion, because if you're going to believe all that and believe everything in the Bible, then all y'all out there wearing mixed fabrics are blaspheming. But
well, right. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And the fact that people choose to pick and choose. And then, you know, I choose to want to believe in science and things that are more explainable than like, because I feel like even with the real Latoya Amons case, and I did read quite a bit about it, like different news articles, and did watch that bullshit ass documentary by that ghost whisperer man. Like the things that happen, I feel like could be explained. Like a lot of stuff can be explained. And I think it undermines the fact that these children were probably dealing with a lot of trauma.
mhm.
And so their behavior was a manifestation of that. I
Well,
watched, yeah.
just like you can explain the Salem witch trials in the Crucible, those little girls were not haunted by the devil. Like there was a social situation that they were trying to escape punishment for something, and this is how they acted out. And plus, Lee Daniels, if you believe in what these people went through, his presentation of their experiences was exploitative.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fun to talk about, not fun like making fun of, but it's an interesting conversation because I just think that it's really easy to just dismiss things. You know, I listen to a lot of true crime and people love to label people as evil. Like, you killed your wife and two kids because you're evil. And it's like, well, maybe we need to dive into it more because I think that,
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Evil is, if it's evil that you want to call it, then we all have that, whatever that is, that we all have as humans, that capacity within us.
to
We're
me, it
not,
feels this, yeah, yeah. It feels dismissive to just she's possessed. It's the devil. It like what? No, these kids are traumatized from witnessing, you know, in the presentation of the deliverance. These children, you know, it's made very clear that they grew up in an abusive environment with a mother who is an addict and witnessing their mother and grandmother have this abusive, contentious relationship. And who knows what else they experienced. Like, we should be talking about how those experiences can have an effect on children's behavior, not chalk it up to Pazuzu or whomever was possessing
well,
this.
right, because that takes away the responsibility. And I think if you go further down that road, it's a very convenient way to make that them versus us argument. And then as a way to differentiate that I'm not like that. But, and again, I'm sure there are a lot of good Christians out there, but my personal experiences, the nastiest people that I've met, the most unforgiving, the most manipulative are people that identify as Christian. Um,
Well, that's a bold statement I would not make, but I will say that I think that it's like again, you latch yourself on to some dogma that you're not fully aware of, and you're picking and choosing, and then you feel restricted. So then you support legislation and politicians who pander towards like these, you know, like this idea of what's right and wrong based on some beliefs that are like your beliefs don't like. I respect people's beliefs for them. It makes me
right.
think of the comedian Bruce when he says that shirt looks good on you. Like, I mean, it's I can respect that, but I like don't be mad that there's skepticism. I mean, someone needs to be skeptical. Someone needs to seek the truth. Someone needs to ask questions. Some shit doesn't make sense. A lot of y'all are liars anyway. Like, I watch too much true crime to believe. I already talked about this in the Patreon, but like the people involved in Latoya Amon's case are not reliable. They all are biased because they already have these beliefs. They have footage of, and again, who knows how legitimate this documentary is, but there's footage of cops in Gary, Indiana going to the house, basically saying like they don't want to go in there because they believe that the house is haunted. And so of course, if law enforcement who showed up to the house or child protective services workers, social workers, nurses, even psychiatrists who said they saw the boy walk up the wall. If those people already have a propensity to believe in things like this, then they're going to support it. If I called my mom right now and said, I think I saw a ghost last night, she'd come over with like some oil and try to anoint the house. Like she would not question,
Hmm.
like, were you drinking last night? What time? She would just automatically. So these are not stupid people. I mean, these are everyday people who just happen to believe in these things for what reason, I don't know. I'm not mocking that. It just, Lee Daniels' The Deliverance to me is a comedy. And I really enjoyed Glenn Close's performance. And I do recommend people watch it if they want an experience. But it wasn't my intention to, because, there were comments like, if once you, like, I hope you never have to experience this to then get on YouTube and have to say you're sorry, which I deleted those I deleted those comments, but I was laughing like I would love to get possessed and so I can get on YouTube and show everyone my demon. Like what?
Can I collect money from the states? Can I stop working?
Also, it's like everyone's saying like this is real. Even in the last 20 years, when every asshole has a device on them that can record audio, video, why is there not a single recorded, like legitimate documentation of spirits, ghosts, whatever? But then yesterday I watched someone do a 20-minute photo shoot with their dog eating like how Starbucks will give you the whipped cream for the dog or whatever it is.
Hmm.
I watched someone set up a full photo shoot and ask for they had multiple phones recording this dog licking up this whipped cream. So we can do that, but we can't capture a ghost.
Uh-huh.
All y'all, billions of people believe in ghosts apparently, and not one. But I have billions of videos of dogs being cute. Like I just don't understand. That's why I'm skeptical. But welcome
I've,
to
I've,
oh,
oh, go ahead.
welcome to all the new subscribers. You have what?
I was reading through some Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley this week, and this conversation made me think of a quote I read. But in her Vindication on the Rights of Women, she said, "All the sacred rights of humanity are violated by insisting on blind obedience."
Now, I'm not I mean, I don't not agree with that, but I'm not this like vehement, like anti-establishment. Like I'm not trying to go against majority or anything like that. I just want things to make sense. And sometimes it is easier to fall in line. I don't think religion is, I think organized religion is questionable and has done a lot of harm. But I think if people want to read their Bible and they feel inspired to be a better person and treat their neighbor better and use it as a source of guidance to help them be better. And I think all that's to me, that's in the same chapter as like reading self-help books. Like if it has a positive effect, then that's great.
Well, I think that goes back to your point of that's good for you.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do.
But then to use this thing that should be, it's funny because a lot of like Christian music stations are called like inspirational, like to try to
Mhm.
make them more mainstream. Or like, Christian categories will be referred to as inspirational, but it's like, well, that makes it seem positive, but it seems like Christianity in the United States is used to condemn people and things and push policy, and that doesn't seem very inspirational. But
Uh, well, and I think the main point is religion has been used to keep us in line.
I like, oh my God, the cat. It's cool that a movie, because I don't think Lee Daniels is a very serious person.
I
I respect him as an artist more than Tyler Perry.
definitely, and I will always be interested in what he does. But I
Yeah.
think he when he speaks about his work, he sounds a lot more serious than what the work is. But
Yes, because I was listening to him and I'm like, girl, good. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but come on. You know what you're doing. But I think that's why I appreciate it. I think he's trying to push buttons and he's trying to do something sort of over the top. And I can't say that if I were a filmmaker, I wouldn't probably be closer to that. Um, but
I he gave us Glenn Close in an era-defining performance.
oh,
So,
all the memes like Glenisha, Glenethea,
Glenn J. Blige.
Glenn J. Blige. It's and would you die if Glenn Close finally wins an Oscar for this movie?
I would. I would be shook. Yes.
I do think her performance is really good.
She's committed, because I also read that she wasn't sure how to approach the role. And I don't know, she's just such a consummate professional because, clearly she also did that terrible J.D. Vance adaptation. But I,
JD Vance.
Hillbilly Elegy is based on his memoir.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I feel stupid. We reviewed that movie.
We did. I'm pretty sure we brought that up because I had issues.
Oh,
He was throwing his own community right under the wheels of the bus. But
well, not unlike all the Silicon Valley people he throws under the bus. But anyway,
right.
well, moving on to something else that has been a topic of conversation is Joaquin Phoenix dropping out of that Todd Haynes movie.
Yes.
He spoke at Venice about it, right?
Well, because Joker, by the way, I loathed Joker Folie à Deux. I it
I don't think you're alone in that.
oh my God, just Lady Gaga. You can't let people do whatever they want if it's your movie. Anyway,
From the trailer, I wasn't hopeful. Oh, it was rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. Now it's not, but there are a lot of negative criticisms for the movie.
oh, I mean, I'll look forward to picking it apart with you when we see it. I'll have to watch that shit again. Um,
Watch me love it. But anyway,
well, what a great conversation that would be. Again, just we should all have different opinions, really. But
well,
he,
I did read your review on Ion Cinema, which was very good. And it definitely did not make me excited for the film.
knowing you as well as I do, don't believe you will like it. Maybe you'll feel more patient. I doubt it. But
Oh, are you acknowledging on a recording that I am more patient than you?
about some things, about some things,
Wow.
yes,
Okay.
but
Well,
not in relation.
We'll take that for now.
We complement each other's lack of patience, I believe, in certain areas. But anyway,
So
yes. So
Joaquin Phoenix is in Venice for Joker Folie Due.
and so the press conference, you knew somebody was going to ask about why'd you drop out of this movie not that long ago and throw everything into chaos. And he said he basically refused to address it, of course, and said it would just be sharing my opinion, and the other creators aren't here to share their piece. It doesn't feel like that would be right. I don't think that would be helpful, so I just don't think I will.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, like I said when we first talked about it, we don't have all the details, and I can't imagine that with all of the insurance, like with all the things that are involved in making a film that with a budget that had already started production, it's probably more complex than Joaquin Phoenix doesn't want to play gay. So
Well, he crafted that story, so yeah, I don't believe that's the excuse, but it just doesn't look good. But
I would
whatever.
assume that there were creative differences.
Something happened for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Well, moving on to the restaurant section, I just wanted to mention, and I don't know if you have any food stories from Venice, but everyone knows I like McDonald's and I'm a staunch supporter and I visit them regularly, mainly for coffee, but I do like some breakfast items, blah, blah, blah. And I always order through the app because there are coupons and such,
Mhm.
and rewards, which have not been the best lately, but whatever. And, in this economy, I don't know. But I've noticed in LA, at least, I'm assuming it's an LA thing, that now you have to pay for a bag. Like
Oh.
Like how you have to, at the grocery store in LA, we don't do plastic bags. And then if you want a bag, you have to pay 10 cents. So now McDonald's is doing that. So, and I always get curbside, so like I park in the spot and order on the app and then say I'm in spot 3 and they come out and bring it. So the first time it happened, I guess I didn't pay attention. So the person just brought out my coffee and cheeseburger like in their hand and gave it to me.
Oh.
And I thought, okay, well, the cheeseburger's wrapped up in the blood. Okay, but then, and then usually I only get coffee, so I don't need a bag. But the other day, I got a combo, like fries and a drink and the burger. And I saw that it asked me if I wanted a bag, and I'm like, no, like I'm not gonna pay for a bag because they're obviously gonna put it in a bag. Child, this man came out, and there were two cars, so I was next to someone who'd also ordered. This is the moment when I wish we were on video. He had all of our food holding it in his arms like a baby.
Oh my God.
Yes, yes. So my loose fries, this person's loose fries were like he was cradling them. So they were touching his sweatshirt and then he kind of like shoved his torso into the window of my car so I could grab my items.
Let me dump this food you got.
Yes. And then the sauces, he had like this little tray, which actually is a cute idea for the curbside. They had this like tray, I guess, specifically made for like all the dipping sauces and the ketchup and the straw. So then it's like, what do you want? And then, but then he couldn't, his arms are full, so he couldn't give me the thing. So he had to go give the other person their food to then come back and give me ketchup. But yeah, I don't know that that's a great idea, McDonald's. I think that if it's curbside or drive-through, it needs to be in a bag no matter what. I think that's a use case where we shouldn't have to pay for a bag. It just needs to go in a bag.
I mean, I don't know. But like when you take leftovers from a restaurant, well, I suppose that's probably coming then, that you'll have to pay for the receptacle. So start bringing your Tupperware. Tupperware.
Yeah, actually, I think you might have just start bringing your own Tupperware to the restaurant for your leftovers.
But well, you certainly for fries, then you miss out on the Jesus fry.
Yeah, the bag fries. Um, Yeah. Well, and they're probably not going to scoop as much because it's like they don't want them to spill. Not that I need all these fries, but still, the thing that grossed me out the most was that like this person's holding all my food while they're walking because they have to walk through the store outside to go to the car, breathing all over my shit, which I know that's what servers do when we sit down in a restaurant. They're just talking all over my food. But yeah, it was like touching his sweatshirt and yeah, I don't know. It was a little too close to someone's underarms, but moving on. Films released we didn't cover. I'll be
Mhm.
right there.
This was directed by Brendan Walsh. We reviewed his last
Oh,
films.
from 90210.
No.
That's
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Anyway,
no.
sorry, go ahead. We reviewed what?
Their last film, Centigrade,
We did?
about those two people stuck in the car in the avalanche.
Oh, you know what? I almost remember that. Wow.
I don't think we liked
Oh,
it.
that was back, that was a while ago.
Yeah, 4 years.
Wow.
Uh, but his new one has Jeannie Berlin, who I love, and Edie Falco. So this would be something I would definitely catch up with.
Well, the premise of Centigrade was interesting because I like those survival sort of thrillers, but huh. Okay. Next, his three daughters.
I actually saw this. It's a Netflix release. I think it was a Tiff last year, but it's directed by Azazel Jacobs, who is a director I like for the most part. And it's about three daughters that get together that all kind of hate each other as their father's dying in his apartment. And the daughters are played by Elizabeth Olsen, Natasha Lyonne, and Carrie Coon. And Natasha Lyonne and Carrie Coon do not get along at all. Lyonne is a big pothead, and of course, my
Oh,
favorite pothead. But it's
is she
worth a look.
is she funny in it?
Yeah, in the way that she is. But there's some serious, sad moments. But
Oh, Horde.
This is directed by Luna Carmoon, which I reviewed somewhere somehow. I think that just got republished, but it is about a woman played by Haley Squires, who people probably recognize from I, Daniel Blake, or In the Earth, which I didn't like, by Ben Wheatley. And it's about a young woman that dealt with hoarding as a child and I think has to confront it again as a young adult or something. I don't quite remember. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it, but it also stars Joseph Quinn from A Quiet Place, A Quiet the with God, why am I blinking on that? A Quiet Place Day One.
Oh, with Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah.
Look into my eyes.
This is an A24 documentary about a psychic and about psychics and their clients, which has some interesting moments. I did find it a little dull. It's directed by Lana Wilson, and this, I think, premiered out of Sundance this year.
Rebel Ridge.
This is another kind of major Netflix release this week, which I'll probably catch up on with when I get home. Jeremy Saulnier directed it, who did Blue Room and oh God, what's the one about the musicians with the Nazis? Green something. Uh, and I liked his first two films, but this is a thriller. That sounds pretty good. And I think we'll start seeing some more major Netflix releases as Oscar season kicks off.
Hmm. Red Rooms.
This is a French language thriller directed by Pascal Plante, which had an interesting premise, I think, but I'm not quite remembering. It's a thriller.
Lastly, The Thicket.
This I'm very interested in seeing. It's directed by Elliot Lester, Peter Dinklage, and Juliette Lewis star. And Juliette Lewis, who I do follow on Instagram, has been posting a lot about this, saying this is the most favorite character she's ever played. She plays someone named Cutthroat Bill. Um,
Oh.
and if you look at the still, it looks interesting. That's also something I would catch up on.
Projects of interest. John Woo has a new project.
Yeah, he just recently remade The Killer, which we talked about on a podcast, which I did not like. The original's great. But he is apparently doing a film project with the musical group Sparks, who
Oh.
I guess are continuing the role of their comeback after Leos Carax's Annette in that Edgar Wright documentary. But that should be interesting.
And Alpha.
This I almost didn't put on there because I don't know how really interested I'm in it. But I guess I still have high hopes that Neil Blomkamp might do another good movie. But he has a new film he's putting together called Alpha that Aaron Paul is going to star in. So I don't know. I don't know.
Um, Moving on. We should have talked about it, I guess, 2 weeks ago, but I mean, since we tend to talk about Drag Race, Canada versus the World Series 2 or Season
Mhm.
2. We have a winner, but what just to make sure everyone knows our thoughts on Canada versus the world. Um, Brooklyn Heights looks crazy.
Yes. Well, no, in drag, Brooklyn looks great, but as their biological counterpart, he looks drastically transformed in a way that's uncomfortable to behold.
Yeah. What's his real name? Brock Edward. Oh, his full name is Brock Edward Hayhoe.
Oh, hey
His
ho.
last name is Hayhoe.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't get anything from him except that he in drag is an exquisite drag queen and obviously a very talented dancer. But it's just I would have a hard time taking critiques from someone with no personality,
Uh-huh.
who seems dead behind the eyes, and then you want to tell me to punch it up. Bitch, I'm gonna punch you. What are you talking about? The only thing he could show me is how to do the splits and where the bathroom is. I don't know why. But anyway, and then the judges, I have to say, as plastic as Tracy Melchor is to me, I did think for this go round, because we have four, because we've had her on 3 seasons of Canada's Drag Race, and then 1 season of Canada versus the world. So this is the fifth time we're seeing her. I did feel like this time she felt a little more assertive, like authentically assertive.
Yeah, she does. She still has a problem seeming like a robot.
Well, well, part of that is because she looks like she's made out of plastic. That's why.
Well, and some of those hair choices, those hair hats she's wearing are distracting. She had the one moment that stands out that felt authentic was when she clapped back at Fierce Delicious, who I cannot
Yes.
stand listening to that person speak. Oh my God.
Well, let's talk about, I don't want to go through all of it, but yeah, some of the cast members, um,
Who won again? I forgot.
should I say who the people were? I don't even remember. Where can I? Oh, here we go. Oh God. So I'm just gonna quickly go through them. And this is like so La Cajena, who is from
Uh,
France.
oh God,
I don't
my
even
oh
remember her except her drag was kind of raggedy.
tragic, but seemed nice, but my oh
Then there was La Phil from the UK, who I believe is Chinese. And
hmm.
their entire shtick is that they're non-binary. I found that boring. Like, well, it just got bored. Like your entire, because even on, I believe LaPhil was on the fourth season of UK Drag Race. It just was like your entire personality is your gender non-conformity. I thought they were boring, and they left the second episode, so that's fine.
They had a fierce entrance look though with the balloons.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Mm.
Tynomi Banks, who's from Canada. I actually really liked Tynomi. Her drag's a little. I feel like Tynomi's limited because she's an amazing dancer.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where her strength lies. And then, like, seems like a really nice person. But yeah, was not the
You'll
best competitor.
if you go to the village when you're in Toronto, you'll probably see Tainomi perform. Uh,
Ugh. Well,
but
then I probably won't.
she reminds me, she paints older than she is because she kind of reminds me of Pam Grier in the 90s.
Yeah, because Tynomi's 42, it looks like. And yeah, I was getting like Patti LaBelle
Sometimes
circa
Patty LaBelle. Yeah.
circa 2005. But then we have Eureka, who we all know from several seasons of Drag Race and We're Here. She has she's trans again because she had detransitioned controversially.
Hmm.
Um, she has had some surgeries. She looks great. She her performance was pretty mid, and she went home mid. But
Yeah.
okay, Miss Fierce Delicious from Canada, who is stunning in and out of drag, has the nastiest personality.
Hmm.
I feel like if I ever bumped into him, it would be like I want two cats. Like I would just be like, ooh.
I would just remove myself. I do not need to be anywhere near a person like that. My God.
And that nasally vocal fry, like, oh, just the worst.
Just prattling on about vacuous, self-obsessed narcissism. It's just boring.
And then there were only 10 contestants, but there was a top four.
Hmm.
So the top four, Kennedy Davenport, who we know from US Drag Race and All Stars, who I really like.
I like Kennedy. I was hoping
Kennedy,
that Kennedy would win.
yeah, but Kennedy's limited. I do think I like Kennedy. She does seem like someone's old gay uncle, but she's very slow, but that's what I like about her. Then we have Cheryl from the UK.
Cheryl seems lovely as a person.
Cheryl seems lovely. Then Alexis Mateo, who we all know, bam, we all know from several many seasons of Drag Race, who now resides in Vegas. She's also a very professional drag queen. And to round out the top four was Lemon from Canada, who
That's right. Okay.
who everything is yellow, including some shades of her teeth. But I
You
think
know, you know, somebody needed to tell this little white person that yellow is not usually a color for white people to wear and succeed in.
Oh, it's so unflattering on her skin tone because she's very pale and there's no warmth in her skin. And then, oh, it's just the worst. But my thoughts about all of these all-star seasons and versus seasons is these queens are never in fighting form. The only time you see, because it's only on like new seasons of like Drag Race and whatever franchise it is that you get the younger ones, right? Because they're starting out. Because we've exhausted the pool of like experienced drag queens. So they're all younger and newer. So they're like in fighting shape. But then every time we get these versus all-star situations, these queens are making money, they're eating better, they don't have to work as hard. So they're all like a little thickums, a little a little slow. And it's just, I don't know. For me, it's like I don't want to come back and not be in fighting form. And it doesn't mean like you have to be skinny. I just mean like they just look like they've been sedentary and they were waiting for this call and they just hopped on a plane and packed their bags and went.
Yep.
But that being said, Lemon won. I do think Lemon deserved it because
Yeah, I agree with that.
especially because she went home first on UK versus the world. And
I think
I think,
RuPaul we called her basic, right? Or
yeah, so to go from that to having a really good showing, and she, of the four who were in the top, I think Lemon and Cheryl are the most versatile. I mean, Alexis is just real old school, and I like that. And then Kennedy is not the best speaker. So it's like, well, you kind of need to work on that, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, unfortunately, there is an entry in the obituary section. Jean Charles Tacchella,
Tacchella, I think, is
Tacchella.
it's an Italian last name, but he's probably best known as writing and directing Cousin Cuisine, which was even more famously remade to Westernize as a 1989 film called Cousin, starring Isabella Rossellini, Sean Young, and Ted Danson. And if the title uh, kind of suggests that it's about two cousins that are having a relationship.
Well, he was 98 years old.
Yeah.
He
Hmm.
lived a long life. Well, the secret film this week was my choice. I
Hmm.
chose the 1979 action adventure film Ashanti, directed by Richard Fleischer, starring the cast is impressive. Michael Caine, Peter Ustinov, Beverly Johnson, Omar Sharif, Rex Harrison, William Holden. I just learned who Kabir Bedi is. He's a very handsome man. Um, what is Ashanti about? Dr. Anansa Linderby is kidnapped in a medical mission in Africa by a slave trader. From this moment, her husband will do anything to recover her and to punish the bad guys, but that will not be an easy task. Plot twist, it was a pretty easy task. But anyway, why did I choose this movie? So, as we're wont to do, flipping through streaming platforms, and you came across I don't know how. I think you were scrolling through and I saw the poster because the poster is beautiful. It's Beverly Johnson, like an illustration of her in chains and this very flowy, like burnt orange dress that's showing a lot of cleavage. And she's in shackles, legs spread. And then it just says Ashanti. So I mean, it's an arresting movie poster. I mean, this would be one that I would say could be in the house. But
Hmm.
so that sparked our interest, and then we read about it, and I put it on my short list of podcast selections. Unfortunately, this movie is garbage, mama. Like it's terrible.
Pretty bad. It does not have a good reputation. This is actually the second film directed by Richard Fleischer that we have a podcast about.
What? What's the other one?
Mandingo.
Oh, okay. So we have a problem here because
Well, okay, so Fleischer, I think is he has several films that I really like, including 10 Rillington Place and The New Centurions with George C. Scott. Those I highly recommend those. But I think in particular, we have the series Roots to blame for Ashanti because I think that gave Hollywood let's make there's we can capitalize on black stories if they're directed by these white people that don't know what they're doing. Uh, but and Mandingo was based on a highly successful pulp fiction novel, so I guess that made sense why that got made. Although that to me, I think Mandingo is a much worse film than Ashanti, a more problematic film.
I would
But
agree.
this film certainly is dated and has its issues. But it was kind of a tortured shoot because I think they were shooting in Africa, and the temperature was in the hundreds, and a camel collapsed on Michael Caine. Michael Caine has since been the most vocal. This is the least favorite film in his filmography. He says it's the worst. I don't agree with that statement. He's done worse,
Oh,
and has asked people not to watch this movie.
well, the production in general had a lot of issues with casting, people being recast, people being let go, people quitting. The director was replaced, like all kinds of things, which we can delve into more. But the story is very basic because it's about Michael Caine and Beverly Johnson. And for people who don't know, Beverly Johnson is a model. She's the first Black woman to be on American Vogue, and she's an entrepreneur. I know her. She was featured in a lot of like 90s TV show. Like I specifically remember her from the television show Martin. She played a teacher who was trying to have an affair with Martin. And then there's a really fun scene where Tisha Campbell's character confronts Beverly Johnson. But
Yes, I remember the episode. Mhm.
yes, but I've always known she was. But then also Beverly Johnson was one of the first to have her own. She had a wig line, I think maybe before Raquel Welch, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I'm very well aware of who she is. But anyway, Michael Caine and Beverly Johnson are a married couple, and they're both medical doctors. And they are in West Africa doing, like, they're on a medical mission with the World Health Organization. So the opening of the film is they're setting up this clinic to like inoculate villagers when at the end of a busy work day, Beverly Johnson's like, I'm gonna slip into something more comfortable. And then, which is this like burnt orange flowy number that she is nude. She's nude underneath it in front of all these people. And then she's like, I'm gonna go for a swim, and then just gets naked, dives into the lake. And then some slave traders abduct her, and this all happens in the first like 7 minutes. And then, of course, Michael Caine is looking for her, and then the villagers, who are, I think the tribe, because I was reading there was confusion because people thought this movie was going to be about Beverly Johnson as a woman named Ashanti, but
Same.
Ashanti is the tribe
Yes, and she says that's the tribe she's from, and uh the singer we all know is also.
who's currently pregnant.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I believe she's 43, and she's pregnant with Nellie's baby. Um,
Oh, oh
yeah, well,
yeah.
they've been a couple since forever, but anyway, Beverly Johnson gets kidnapped by these slave traders. Michael Caine's looking for her. The villagers help him, and they realize that, oh, there are truck tracks. So she was kidnapped. And then he finds help uh, very easily. Like the it's so ridiculous how easily they just get from point A to point B. They figure out who the slave trader is. They follow the slave trader like across Africa, like 3,000 miles, and it happens in an instant, very easily. And then this is all like in the first 30 minutes. The next hour of the film is them just like trailing Peter Ustinov's character.
Suleiman. The movie is basically switching back and forth from those perspectives. How Beverly Johnson's name is Anansa, how she's kind of being bustled around and trying to be sold. And then, of course, Michael Caine and the hunter, played by Kabir Bedi Malik.
So yeah, so like you said, it's basically like like all parties from their perspective of like what's going on. But Peter Ustinov, who's the villain in the movie, his goal is to sell Beverly. Well, he wants like children to sell, but he recognizes that Beverly Johnson could probably get him a lot of money. So he takes Beverly Johnson to Omar Sharif, who appears to be like a political figure.
Hmm.
Or no, he's the prince. Yeah, so he's a political figure. And Omar buys her for his son, I think, or his grandfather.
His father,
Oh, his
who's done
father. His father's dying, and so he wants him to have a beautiful woman by his side when he dies.
very get
But,
out. Yeah.
but of course, Michael Caine and Kabir Bedi find her with the prince on his yacht. And the final scene of the film is everyone on the yacht fighting to get Beverly Johnson, but she immediately gets thrown into the ocean.
Michael Caine picks her up and she's like, "No, not without you." And he tosses her ass right in the water.
Yeah, like when you dump those chicken nuggets in the fry grease, like he just threw her in there, and then poor Kabir gets killed, but Michael Caine dives over, and then the final shot is the two of them kissing in the
In
ocean.
the ocean. What is the plan?
What there was no plan from the. We need to talk about all of this, but the first thing I want to talk about, since it's how the film ends, the score.
Oh,
Because I was reading that the person who did the score, it's their first time doing a movie score because they were known for TV. And the entire time, I didn't read that till the end, but the entire time I thought the score sounds like it belongs in a TV show.
yeah, and it has some of that 70s exploitation sound to it. But yeah, Michael
I,
Melwan.
I thought it sounded like it would be something like on Falcon Crest. I mean, it just sounded so out of place in this movie.
Which is funny because the cinematographer, it was his last film, Aldo Tonti, who did a lot of major European films. Probably my favorite of his work is Nights of Cabiria for Fellini.
The cinematography would be like a positive, I guess. Like, I mean, but also it's hard, it probably is not difficult to shoot that landscape beautifully. But I have a lot of notes. I'm just going to start. The film opens by telling us that slavery still exists today. Thousands of people disappeared in Africa last year. This story is based on that fact. So, it's the late 70s. Okay.
It's based on a book called Ibano.
Yes. And I know it's based on a book. Where to begin? Okay, so the opening of the film is Beverly and Michael setting up this medical clinic, and then the tribes people come and do a ritual, basically trying to ask the gods if they have permission to set up the clinic. And thankfully for everyone, they do. And then they,
They come out dancing. She goes, just ignore them. Okay.
well, can we talk about her then first too? Because I wrote down it's a good thing she's gorgeous because her acting is
Her
not.
acting's wretched. I read that the producers originally wanted Beverly Todd, but her husband's got Johnson. The
Beverly Johnson's husband. Also, she was pregnant during this film.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
the opening credits, because I assumed, like a lot of people, I think that it was her name was Ashanti. So I'm like, how the hell is this named? And she's third billed. Um,
Yeah, no, it's not that. But I was going to say, I was reading that, and you can kind of notice that by the time they were done filming, she was like almost 5 months pregnant.
mhm.
So in the final scene, she's all dolled up because she's been sold to this prince, and she looks like a supermodel. But you can tell that she has like a little bit of a belly. Because in the
Mhm.
opening, you see her naked, and she has like a perfect body. Perfect as in like her belly looked flat, and then the rest of it's perfect too. But you can definitely tell in the end that she has like a little pouch.
What's also ironic about this film and the title is referencing the Ashanti Empire. They were that's a nation where the women had the power,
Oh,
and that is
interesting.
clearly not this film.
Okay, so they're inoculating the villagers, and the way they're doing it, because these extras, I'm sure were people they cast locally. So the I was laughing looking at the expressions on everyone's faces because it's like each actor waiting in line to get their shot had like it was almost like each of them was told to have a different emotion.
Yes. There's a man that looks a lot like Samuel Jackson that has a very drastic reaction.
Yes, and then but then there's a kid like smiling, and then one laughing, one looking scared, one looks hungry, one it's terrible. Okay, so then all of a sudden they're just done. And it looks like the only thing they have is the Jeep they rode in on. And then we see Beverly Johnson hop out in a full outfit change. And she goes, I thought I'd slip into something more comfortable. And Michael Caine's like, well, I'd rather like watch these people. Like I want to take photographs. Did you notice that? I don't know if it was my eyes, but some of those shots of Michael Caine taking photographs, did that not look like green screen to you?
I guess I didn't think that while I was watching, but maybe.
Well, you
And
watched it on your computer.
yeah.
I watched it on the big screen and yeah, it looked a little like that was interesting. But
One
anyway,
of one of the girls he inoculates, though, he says, "Oh, isn't she pretty?"
well, and I took note of that because I'm like, oh, he's a creep. Like, why is he commenting on this girl? But then she comes back later in the story.
Yeah, we had to bring attention to her, but he says it to his beautiful wife, who's like, "Yeah."
Also that um also that actor, the Sanofu girl, the actor's name is Akosua. And I went to high school with a lady named Akosua, and she was
Oh,
so mean to me. And I always think I would get
you
bullied a lot in school. And I remember, and my mom would make me like brown bag lunches. And I remember one day I went to go get my tuna sandwich out of my brown bag. And this is in middle school. So I knew her like all through middle school and high school. And she I had grabbed my tuna sandwich and saw that someone had taken a bite out of it. And then you could see that like the outline, there was like lip gloss
Mhm.
and I could smell it. And I'm like, it smells like her. And I asked her and she said, yeah, like, so what? And
That's so
many,
right.
she was really mean to me. Many years later, she reached out to me trying to be nice. And now I want to say she had a rough go in her 30s, maybe. And then now she's like, because I saw her on Instagram not too long ago, but
Oh, so you were triggered. Okay.
yeah, I was triggered when I saw her date. But like, I think maybe she had issues with drugs and whatnot, and now she's a good Christian. But anyway,
She's been delivered.
she's been delivered. Okay. Anyway, so Beverly Johnson slips into something more comfortable, and then she wants to go swimming. Michael Caine says, "No, I want to take photographs," and then she runs like someone chasing her barefoot through the
Well,
safari or whatever.
she's running from the cameraman. Yeah.
She's running for the cameraman. And she takes off her slip naked and like dives into the lake.
hmm
And then all of a sudden she gets out and runs back like she's like there was an alligator in the water, but she seems giddy and then immediately gets kidnapped. Like immediately. It's not funny, but oh wow.
It's
Okay.
not funny. It's like, oh my God.
So then Michael Caine goes to the police, like the police commissioner, and he's brought someone with him. And then this guy comes in and he says, it's the slave trade. The slave trade took her. And that commissioner, who's like a black African man, I was howling because he goes, there will be no slavery here.
I know, like, okay.
Okay. I'm glad you feel that way. Okay. I don't know Peter Ustinov.
Yes, you do. We watched the version of Death on the Nile where he played Hercule Poirot.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, this film was notable for I don't think he ever really played villains, so that was a marketing tool for this.
God, I mean, he's so vile in this movie, but not in a very satisfying way.
Yeah, it's probably a more realistic way of like, oh, you're just a
Right.
nasty man.
Well, speaking of that, it's like they want young boys and like I'm assuming for sexual reasons, and then his assistant like actually wants to have sex with the young boy and he lets him, and then we hear the young boy screaming, and that was really upsetting.
So Michael Caine receives assistance from an old cohort played by Rex Harrison.
Oh, that's him, yes.
So Rex first gets him because they want to catch Ustinov before he gets to the Sahara, because then it's like all is lost because there's no way to, follow them into the desert. So he hires William Holden, who I guess only wanted to be in this movie because he owned property in Africa and it was a good, he liked hunting.
I
Uh,
read that. Yeah.
so you know William Holden from Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, he's the guy, like the screenwriter.
Yes. Um, Anyway, he has a helicopter, and by the way, the third. So Michael Caine used to not both have two Oscars. Holden has an Oscar. Anyway, I thought one of the parts I was howling at is they find Beverly in a boat in William Holden's chopper, and he's trying to get Michael Caine to shoot, and Michael Caine looks like he's fumbling with the gun, and Holden gets shot in the shoulder, and he tells Michael Caine to jump out of the helicopter into the water, and then immediately the helicopter falls into the water and blows up.
Oh, before we even get there, when he meets, so wait, because these character names are confusing me. So Rex Harrison, yes. When he Rex Harrison says he's from the Anti-Slavery League, and then like okay, and then William Holden and Rex Harrison, I thought were so hammy. Like it, I mean, it doesn't help that the dialogue is just so crunchy, but it was pretty cringe. And then in the helicopter, yes, that was crazy. When William Holden gets shot, the helicopter just falls out of the air. It
Yeah,
looks like someone just dropped like a toy helicopter to a body of water, and then it immediately explodes.
and Rex, a notable side note, Rex Harrison's also an Oscar winner.
Okay, I want to talk about Michael Caine, and then specifically in the scene you just referenced. I know it's based on a book. I'm assuming that the character of Dr. David Linderby is supposed to be sort of a passive man, like an intellectual who would never get, like him going on this sort of search for his wife is very much against his type, like character type. But I think in casting Michael Caine, it just came across like so smug and he looks so bored and the character is so like wimpy and incompetent. Like he doesn't know how to do anything to the point where there's a scene where the very handsome Kabir
Kabir.
Bedi is trying to get him on the camel. And that felt like it was straight out of a sitcom. Like it was a full-on comedic scene.
That was really an atrocious scene. If you like
So,
Kabir Bedi, we should probably watch Octopussy.
and then and apparently there are two actors from Bond movies in this film. Kabir
Uh,
Bedi and someone else,
isn't Ustinov in a? I don't remember.
maybe. But so what did you think about this? Like to me, it makes sense that the character of Dr. Linderby, the husband, because both are doctors, that he would be sort of like I could see in the novel that he's supposed to seem helpless. Because imagine if I got, well, you probably wouldn't look for my ass, but just imagine like someone, like, what is this doctor, like this American doctor?
You
Well,
don't think I'd you don't think I'd come after people?
no.
I think you would. I think you wouldn't come after people. I'm more vicious than you are.
Well, yeah, you are.
Hmm.
It makes
Would
sense.
take something of mine? No.
It makes sense that he would seem helpless, but I hate that he's just so weak and like, I don't know how to get on a camel. I don't know how to walk through the desert. I don't know how to get water. I don't know how to shoot a gun. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just there. Like there's no screen presence from Michael Caine in this movie.
Okay, the young boy who the one slave trader like molests, he so then after this boy's been sexually assaulted, then we see them like take a break because now they're in the Sahara Desert and they give the slaves a little bit of water, but then the man who raped the little boy gives him like this half-eaten drumstick. and the boy eats like sucks the meat off the bone and then starts eating the bone. And then all of a sudden, Beverly Johnson asks the boy, "Are you a witch doctor?" Like just out of the blue. And then it turns out he is. And I'm gonna say this because I mean I think it's funny, but I thought that little boy looked like a 50-year-old lesbian.
God.
Didn't he? He looked like you know,
Yeah.
he kind of reminded me of like a darker skinned Bell Hooks.
Oh, Bell Hook's rolling in her grave at that.
But I wait, is Bell Hooks dead?
Yes, sir.
When did she die?
Not that long ago, but she's dead.
Oh my goodness. I didn't
Yeah.
spoke. Well, I'm not speaking ill of the dead because I'm saying that she resembled a young youthful spirit. But no, he was very much giving like black lesbian who has like a junior afro and doesn't wear makeup vibes. But that little boy's a witch doctor.
Yep. And he casts a spell, like
And
or
he ends up
whatever.
killing the man who assaulted him with his little voodoo doll. Okay. The
But if he could do that, it'd be like, if I was Beverly Johnson, it'd be like, let's make a fat man figurine and do the same to Peter Ustinov.
well, that scene's interesting because she goes, "Oh, well, why don't you do your magic and I'll do mine?"
Hmm.
And then her magic is that I'm a beautiful woman. So she seduces, what's his name? Jamil. Peter Ustinov has two assistants. There's the
Oh,
one
yeah.
who raped the little boy who gets
Isn't
done
it
up.
Faid or
And
is it
then
Jamie?
Jamil is the other one. And Beverly Johnson's like, I'll use my magic on him. So she basically seduces him, which gets her out of her shackles. And then she hits him, which was so weak, and then just starts running off into the desert. But before we get there, Ustinov and his crew going through the Sahara, they encounter some tribes people. And their tribe is called the Tuareg tribe.
Mhm.
And that name is familiar to me because Volkswagen has an SUV called the Touareg, and that car is named after the tribe, this West African tribe, or North African. No, I just messed it up. But anyway, um, yeah. So then Beverly Johnson's running through the desert, and Jamil is chasing her, and then we get a scene. I don't know how it's possible that these two were running across the desert and end up on a cliff and right as Jamil's about to kill Beverly Johnson, who pops up? Peter Ustinov. How? There's no way that man ran anywhere. So how did he
Nope.
get there? But then, of course, Peter Ustinov doesn't want Beverly Johnson dead because he wants to sell her for a lot of money. So he ends up shooting Jamil in both of his feet. But I think the writing of the Peter Ustinov character is so weak because he's so generically evil. Like, yeah, you're a slave trader, you're like selling boys for sex, you're selling women for sex, you're obviously evil. And then Jamil treats Peter Ustinov like a father, and Peter Ustinov mocks him. So I just thought like, oh, it's such lazy writing. Like, and then it's stunt, and then it's like lazy villain writing combined with stunt casting.
It's all lazy writing. It, I don't think any of it really works.
I wanted to say that when the little boy does his voodoo on his rapist, the it looks like the man is spitting up like chocolate syrup. Like, what was that supposed to, like the evil
Blood.
inside of him coming out? Okay, Michael Caine is with Malik, the Kabir Bedi character, and they're going across the Sahara and they come across a bunch of kids who've been enslaved. And so Michael Caine immediately unshackles them and says, like, we'll go. And Kabir's character is like, where the hell are they supposed to go? Like, we're in the middle of the desert. These kids, like, they would have been better off going wherever they were going to go. And I thought that was an interesting scene. But then it
Interesting.
just highlighted how ridiculous Michael Caine's character is.
Yes, and not logical, but there's some actual emotion I think that could be conjured in that scene because he
Yes.
finds it hard to say goodbye to them and has to scream at them and wave his gun because they're he's a lifeline that's disappearing in front of their eyes. But so again, a well-made version of this
Yeah.
situation could have, that would have been a good scene, but it's hacky.
Yeah, I thought that scene was probably the only one that felt the most like impactful of the entire movie. Okay, so then I was reading about Kabir Bedi. He wrote a memoir during the pandemic. He sounds like a really interesting person. Do you recognize him as an actor?
Yeah, he's a very famous Bond villain in Octopussy,
Oh,
but
that's
he's
right.
been in
But I was reading excerpts from the memoir because he had a son who was schizophrenic and committed suicide at the age of 25. And so like I was reading about that and then reading about his first relationship with I guess another famous actress, like I think an Indian actress.
Okay.
They had an open relationship and he ended up like what he wrote about that I thought was really interesting and but he seems like a really interesting person. So now I want to watch Octopussy.
Oh yeah.
Um, okay, moving on. So when Ustinov tries to sell Beverly Johnson to Omar Sharif, his logic was that she's too good to try to sell like on the slave trade, so he needs to find a private buyer. And what, because he gets all panicked when he realizes that she's really a doctor and that
Mhm.
like she works for the United Nations. And so he thinks, well, I probably need to sell her to like someone powerful then. And that's how he goes to Omar Sharif. But it's clear that they have drugged her in order to, because she's like supposed to be this mouthy, aggressive woman, even though she really doesn't. But her acting is again bad, and her trying to act sedate. And then, did you notice how she fell on the bed?
Uh, and tries to curl up like she's gonna sleep. Yeah, and then it's like she's sedated, but she still gets all her ideas across.
It was just terrible. Okay, did you notice? So, Michael Caine and Kabir are on this boat going to the yacht, like Omar Sharif's yacht. Did you notice the man driving the boat?
No, I
He
don't
was
think so.
very handsome, and like I tried to look him up on IMDb because I feel like we've seen him in a movie, but I couldn't find him. But he was almost like too good looking because it was like, what is this person doing driving this boat? And he looked like he was maybe an American white man. I just didn't understand why he would be driving that boat. Like, because knowing that there are other people in this film who just took the role because they wanted to be in that location or they were friends with someone. But yeah, the final scene on the boat trying to get Beverly is so anticlimactic because they just have like the film, the first 30 minutes, a bunch of stuff happens, and I was kind of excited, like, oh, this is gonna be sort of like a action-packed, fun movie about a very serious topic. But it after that first 30 minutes, it just meanders for an hour.
It's like a 2 hour film. It's pretty dull, really.
Yeah. And then everything was building up to finding her, and then they finally get her, and it's just like boom, boom, pow, throw her in the ocean.
Throw
Kissy
in the
kissy.
ocean. Yep.
Yeah. And then again, Michael Caine seems like he doesn't like he's not a logical person. Like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we need a dialogue. I mean, it's the script's fault, but it's just like you threw her in the ocean. I feel like we should have had a conversation with like the guy driving the boat that like, we're gonna like you're gonna stick around and pick us up or but yeah, that final shot of them kissing in the ocean is like, okay.
It's just like I'm done, annoyed. I don't even have to go through all the credits because I'm like, ugh,
Also, did you feel like those two like they don't have any chemistry?
we have no chemistry. At one point, they're talking to one of these traders in the path towards finding her, and the guy's like, I haven't seen any white slaves, and he showed him a picture of Beverly Johnson. He's like, she's your wife? Weird. Or
Yeah, he
something.
does say that weird. Like, okay.
But yeah, it's definitely a misfire, and I think Beverly Johnson's the most interesting reason to see it. But
It does feel it's mildly exploitative. I did think that I think it's just incompetently put together.
Mhm.
But the subject matter is interesting and it definitely feels like a precursor to a lot of the, like Liam Neeson type.
Yes, like I mean the if you take away Africa and the interracial slave stuff, it's you've seen this story time and time again.
I mean, I know we reviewed it, but I don't remember Shaft in Africa.
Yeah, we did do a review. I think we did two Shaft's Big Score and Shaft in Africa back when we did Blu-rays.
For
Yeah,
some reason, I was getting Shaft in Africa, but I don't know if it's just because we're in Africa, which then makes me sound stupid.
competently made than that film where we have to see poor Richard Roundtree naked in that
In that
that
wrestling match in the sand, ugh.
yeah, and then what's her name being like wanting a clitoris.
Clitorectomy. But she says it weird, like
Yeah, like yeah, she does.
she's not saying it correctly.
Well, good. I
Um,
mean, we didn't have it done.
I would recommend people get on Instagram and look up Beverly Johnson's Instagram. She looks amazing. She's still snatched and out here taking photographs. Um, yeah, I can see why Michael Caine denounces this film, but then you said he's done other bad movies. Like what?
Uh, Jaws: The Revenge is infinitely worse, as
Oh,
is the Killer Bee disaster film, The Swarm, which is that's a howl to watch, but with a fantastic cast. But to me, that's more stupid than this. But and then the same year, I think he did Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, which was utter trash, and he's supposed to be romantically interested in Sally Field, and they look like they hate each other. But yeah, I think he's done worse, but it's not good.
what would you give Ashanti?
1.5.
I would give it, I would give it 1.5 out of 5. Uh, the only reason I mean, I should have looked up. Beverly Johnson didn't do a lot of movies, did she?
No.
I honestly can't even say it's worth watching it for her. Like the poster is captivating, and that's why I wanted to watch it. But I don't think she's giving us. Oh, is she the mother of the black girl in that Britney Spears movie Crossroads? Because
Oh, sounds
Sharon
right.
Stone is Britney's mom, so is Beverly Johnson Zoe Saldana's mom? She
Joking.
is.
Sharon Stone? I
Oh no,
remember Kim. I
Kim
remember Kim.
Cattrall. They're very similar to me, I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't even know that I would recommend it for Beverly Johnson. I think the backdrop of Africa, which I realize some of it's shot in, yeah, the backdrop of Africa. Um, I mean, it's just kind of like WTF at moments, but not satisfying at all.
Not satisfying. And there are more sensational things for sure. But yeah,
Well, that's all I have for Ashanti. So this week will be interesting because I won't be around. But I think the goal is I have 10 tickets for movies at Tiff, and I'm thinking I'll for sure watch the movies you've seen, and then we will make reviews for those together.
hmm
And then for the ones you haven't seen, maybe I won't even watch them. I don't know. 10 movies is a lot, so I don't know.
it is a lot. I'm jealous that you do have a ticket to see The End with Tilda Swinton, but because that wasn't over here. I'm assuming we'll do Speak No Evil as well, because
Oh,
I'm seeing that.
like I have to go see it in the theater.
No, I'm seeing it Monday night. So I don't know if you just want to do a review.
Wait, you're seeing it like 2 nights, two days from now? You're going to a press screening.
Correct. It's up to you. We can talk offline about that.
Oh, so then you're saying I would watch it when I return.
Or I would just review it and you would be the spirit guide.
Oh, I see, I see. Oh, maybe that would make better sense. Because
I don't
we've already discussed this, but I think I already hate the movie because of all the damn trailers I've seen. All right. Well, I think that we can say bye for now. I'm sure we'll have a podcast next Sunday.